Very good morning to all of you. Today we will again continue the radiotherapy in gynecological malignancy. In last class, we have started the radiotherapy or radiation therapy in gynecological malignancies. In the last class, we have discussed about this radiation physics and radiation biology. And again, as you know, there are two types of radiotherapy, that is brachytherapy and teletherapy. In the last class, we have discussed brachytherapy, that is the internal radiation therapy, and which is again of intracavitary interstitial surface. We have discussed in last class, and other type is external radiotherapy or teletherapy or external beam radiation therapy. So teletherapy or external beam radiotherapy, as the name says, external radiation therapy, the source is placed external to the patient. Means it is a form of radiation therapy where the radioactive source is placed at a distance from the patient. In brachytherapy, it is close to the tumor. That is internal therapy. But here, the radioactive source is placed at a distance. Then the source of radiation is placed at a distance about 5 to 10 times greater than the depth of the tumor to be irradiated. Almost all, usually about 100 centimeter from the patient. And in order to achieve, the main aim of the teletherapy is to achieve uniform distribution of radiation. There is uniform distribution of radiation to the tumor, and so that it avoids the large dose variations attributable to the inverse square law. Means in brachytherapy, there is large dose is given to the tumor itself, closest to the tumor in intracavitary or interstitial. And then according to inverse square law, the dose diminishes laterally. So this variation is there in case of brachytherapy, but in case of teletherapy, there is uniform distribution of radiation to the tumor. That is the most advantage of teletherapy over brachytherapy. So the distance, it is the source is placed at a distance. So distance is also called the source to skin distance, SSD. The distance between the source to the skin of the patient, that is known as the SSD or source to skin distance. Then these are the radioactive isotopes used in gynecological malignancies, like most common is cobalt-60 and cesium-137, and their half-lives are given, and also their clinical uses. Cesium-137 and half-life 30 years, and LDR, low dose rate intracavitary, the type of brachytherapy or interstitial. Usually it is used as low dose rate intracavitary or interstitial type of radiotherapy. Then radium, LDR, again intracavitary or interstitial, but nowadays not used commonly. But the most common radioisotope used is cobalt-60. That is half-life is 5.3 years, and as a high dose rate intracavitary brachytherapy, it is commonly used, and also it is used as teletherapy. Then iridium and iodine, that is used as interstitial implant. Then phosphorus, that is half-life is 14.3 days, and it can be used as intracavitary or also intraperitoneal also. Then gold, 198, half-life is 2.7 days, and it is also used as interstitial type of radiotherapy or intraperitoneal radiotherapy. So, teletherapy or external beam radiotherapy irradiates mainly the parametrium and the pelvic lymph nodes. But in the brachytherapy, it irradiates the tumor itself. Suppose in the cervix or endometrium, brachytherapy irradiates the tumor itself, but when there is extension of the malignancy, then external radiotherapy is helpful to irradiate the parametrium and the pelvic lymph nodes. Brachytherapy is followed by teletherapy over a period of 4 to 6 weeks, usually. But in some cases, where the primary tumor is large, when the primary tumor is large or the tumor has distorted the cervical canal and prevents the insertion of an uterine device or tandem, it is prudent to apply teletherapy fast. So where the tumor is large and the very difficulty arises for insertion of the uterine tandem due to cervical stenosis or irregularity or fixity of the cervix and cervical canal could not be dilated, then teletherapy is applied fast. So this shrinks the primary tumor and enables the application of brachytherapy. So in case of large tumor, the teletherapy shrinks the primary tumor so that the brachytherapy is applied next. Then cobalt-60 is the commonest radioisotope used in case of external beam radiotherapy. And also next is cesium-137, also used as external radiotherapy, but cobalt-60 is more commonly used in case of teletherapy. Then selectron also used, and it reduces the period of application and shrinks the tumor very quickly. Then teletherapy actually used by the mega voltage therapy or linear accelerator. The patient is on the one definite enclosed room, and this teletherapy is given after the measurement of the dose and field and angle of machine by the computer applicator computer and computer dosimetry is used to know the exact dose to be delivered. So this is the mega voltage therapy is nowadays commonly used, means this usually it is used for deep malignancies, but the superficial malignancy can be used by the low voltage X-ray or mega voltage or high voltage therapy is beneficial in many ways. That is, it has mega voltage therapy or mega voltage photon use. It has greater penetration and it allows deeper tissues to be effectively irradiated. So there is greater penetration below the skin level. Skin is here spared. So sparing of the skin effect. Otherwise there is side effects of the skin. But here in mega voltage therapy, the irradiation occurs below the skin, after the skin level. So the skin is spared. So there is less side effects of the skin due to mega voltage therapy. Then shorter treatment time is also shorter. And there is no bone necrosis. And it can cover a large field in the abdomen. There are different methods of like moving strip technique or method for the covering of the whole abdomen. So mega voltage or super voltage therapy is better than the ortho voltage therapy with these advantages. There are so many advantages of mega voltage therapy. And supplementary teletherapy through 4 or more portals is necessary to achieve uniform and adequate cancercidal dose or irradiation to the entire pelvis. Different more portals are necessary. So that it is also advantageous, because if with one portal if it is given, there is more side effects and the skin is more affected. So according to the radiation principles, again with one same principle, the tumor tissue recovers more slowly or not at all as compared to the normal tissues. Normal tissues recover more quickly than the tumor tissues. So fractionated course of radiotherapy, that is about 4 to 5 times a week, allows normal tissues to recover before the next dose and reduces the toxicity. So as there is fractionated or in divided doses, radiotherapy is given in usually 4 to 5 days in a week, so that there is complete recovery of the normal tissues after the radiotherapy effect, but there is less or no recovery of the tumor tissue because of the recovery is slow in case of tumor tissue. So if again, when the next course is given, then there is total recovery of the normal tissue, as the recovery is very rapid, but there is less recovery or no recovery of the tumor tissue in between the courses. So it is advantageous. The fractionated course of radiotherapy is advantageous because of there is less toxicity to the normal tissues, so that less side effects and the radiation tolerability is better. Then in case of pelvic radiation, each fraction is about 180 to 200 centigrade. But in case of abdominal radiation, the dose is reduced to 100 to 120 centigrade, mainly to avoid damage to the liver, kidneys, and intestines. A total of 25 to 30 fractions over 5 to 6 weeks is administered to minimize the side effects. Usually 5 days in a week and 5 weeks it is completed. Usually 5 days in a week or 5 weeks. Then interstitial radiotherapy. In this, the radioactive source is placed directly into the tissue, the tumor tissue, and it may be removable implants or permanent implants which are placed in accessible tumors. Either it is removable or permanent implant according to the type of tumor. This is decided, and so in inaccessible tumors such as radioactive iodine, at the time of surgery, the permanent implants are used. Otherwise, removable implants in case of cervix and vaginal. Removable implants can be used in case of vagina and cervical malignancies. After that, they can be removed because the tumors are accessible. Then iridium-192 is the radioactive isotope of the choice in these cases. Then, as with intracavitary, after-loading devices are now available as safety methods, because to save the paramedicals who are working with the radiotherapy department to safeguard their health, the after-loading devices, more specifically the remote after-loading devices, are now available to safeguard the health of the paramedics. And in that, the after loading, remote after loading devices are used, and it is monitored by the television in the at a distance by the paramedics who is responsible, and so that there is least affection of the paramedical health of the paramedics due to this remote after loading devices techniques. Then the other sources are cesium-137 and cobalt-60. Then another type of radiotherapy apart from the brachytherapy, teletherapy, and interstitial radiotherapy, another is intraperitoneal radiotherapy. Here, radioactive isotopes of phosphorus or gold are used, and usually the depth of 4 to 8 millimeter. In intraperitoneal radiotherapy, the depth of irradiation is up to 4 to 8 millimeter only. And among the phosphorus and gold, the phosphorus is better than gold because the half-life of phosphorus is 14.3 days in compared to the half-life of the gold is 2.7 days. And the depth of irradiation in case of phosphorus is about 8 mm, which is more than the depth of irradiation in case of gold. So the phosphorus is better than the gold. So sometimes intraperitoneal radiotherapy is used, but there is also disadvantage of intraperitoneal radiotherapy. That is, there is more chance of bowel adhesion and bowel obstruction due to these radioactive isotopes are not uniformly distributed in the intraperitoneally. So there is more chance of adhesions and obstructions. So these are less used. Intraperitoneal radiotherapy is less used, but when used, it is phosphorus is better than the gold. Then what are the complications of radiotherapy? So there may be early complications and late complications. Usually, early complications occur during the course of radiotherapy or immediately after a course of radiotherapy. Early complications occur or acute complications occur early during the course of radiotherapy or immediately after a course of radiotherapy, and the tissues which are more rapidly or proliferating are affected in case of early complications, like this skin, bladder, and bone marrow are more commonly affected as the tissue is more rapidly proliferating, and recovery also very good in case of early complications, though the affected organs are affected early, but there is recovery also early. So there may be transient nausea and vomiting. Antiemetic drugs usually help. So usually there is symptomatic treatment of complications, and management varies according to the type of complications. So antiemetics will help for the nausea and vomiting, and if there is bladder irritation causing frequency, then antibiotics and indolic catheter can be given, and there may be dysuria or hematuria that were treated with anticholinergic drugs, chlorpromazine. So there may be rectal irritation causing tenesmus and diarrhea, and here also anticholinergic drugs are given. Then there may be irritation of small intestine causing anorexia, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and weight loss. And octreotide is used to relieve the symptoms, the bad symptoms. Then there may be malaise and irritability and nervous depression and headache. And accordingly, analgesics and counseling should be done. Then there may be flaring up of the sepsis. So usually sepsis should be controlled before giving radiotherapy by antibiotics. Specific antibiotics should be given beforehand. So there should not be any septic focus during the course of radiotherapy. Otherwise, there is chance of flaring up of the sepsis, and there is tubovan mass, which is also contraindicated in case of radiation therapy, and there is also chance of formation of or production of pyometra, pus in the uterine cavity due to again cervical stenosis and infection, and there may be peritonitis and septicemia. Then that should be accordingly treated with higher antibiotic after culture sensitivity. Then there may be pyelitis and pyelonephritis and cystitis, and accordingly this should be treated with specific antibiotics. Then there may be pyrexia, antipyretics should be given, and there may be chance of pulmonary embolism rarely, and there may be skin reaction. Usually skin reactions are less common nowadays due to mega voltage therapy, because in case of mega voltage photon therapy, the irradiation occurs below the skin. So usually skin is spared, so there is only erythema or desquamation, mild desquamation of the skin may occur, and as the basal cells are spared in case of mega voltage therapy, usually recovery occurs quickly, if at all there is skin reaction. Then late complications, there may be late complications. In this, the slowly dividing cells are more commonly affected in case of late complications. So there may be persistent anemia, and there may be chronic pelvic pain due to fibrosis involving the nerve trunks. So she may complain of chronic pelvic pain, and pyometra due to cervical stenosis, and that should be treated with the only dilatation of the cervix, which will drain the pus from the uterine cavity, and there may be proctitis and radiation ulcers and rectal bleeding and rectal strictures. So accordingly, the specific treatment should be given. And as it is there should be multi-departmental, all the specialties should be present. So here the surgeons should be referred for treatment of the rectal stricture, rectal bleeding. Then there may be small bowel strictures and obstruction, ulceration, and gut perforation. So accordingly, immediately proper treatment should be given by the surgeons. Then there may be post-irradiation ulcers in the bladder causing dysuria and hematuria. So that should be also properly treated. Then there may be rectovaginal fistula and vesicovaginal fistula. So in late cases, late complications usually occurs after 1 year of radiotherapy, late complications. So there may be chance of development of fistulae like rectovaginal and vesicovaginal fistula, which is very difficult to treat, but because after radiotherapy, the fistula, there is fibrosis formation. So it's very difficult to treat the fistula developed after radiotherapy, but it can be also treated, properly with much difficulty. Then there may be colonic ulcer, telangiectasia, or perforation, stricture or obstruction there may be. So according to the lesion, these should be treated properly. Then there may be atrophic vaginitis, fibrosis, and vaginal stenosis causing marital discord. So there is usually in young patient, radiotherapy is usually not given, and usually surgery is the treatment of choice in young patients because of this. Because there is chance of development of fibrosis and vaginal stenosis. So there is difficulty in coitus. So usually in young patients, radiotherapy is not given, and surgery is the preferred treatment of choice. Then there may be ureteric stricture and obstructive uropathy and osteoporosis and fracture of neck of the femur, and that should be treated properly. Usually the fracture heals better quickly if treated properly. In case of radiation fracture, this heals very quickly and properly. Then there may be disturbed psyche or psychology, so the patient should be properly counseled. Proper counseling should be done. As there is cancer, the patient psychology is disturbed, so proper counseling should be done. Then there may be ovarian destruction causing severe menopausal symptoms and osteoporosis. So the transfixation of the ovary outside the pelvis should be done to protect the ovary, or ovariopexy should be done. Means the fixing the ovaries outside the pelvis prevents the irradiation of the ovaries, especially in case of young patients. And so ovarian destruction is prevented by transposition of the ovaries outside the pelvis or ovariopexy, so that there will be no menopausal symptoms and side effects of the estrogen deficiency. But if there is ovarian destruction causing severe menopausal symptoms and osteoporosis, then estrogen hormonal therapy should be given as treatment. Then other chance of development of sarcoma is reported in about 8% cases. There is sarcoma, uterine sarcoma is developed. Then usually the late complications are very difficult to treat and permanent. So proper treatment should be given. And what are the contraindications to radiotherapy? So first is severe anemia. So the patient should not be anemic. If she is anemic, then anemia should be corrected before radiotherapy. As you know, there is oxygen is required for the more sensitivity of the radiation therapy. So in case of anemia, it is less radiosensitive. Then pregnancy, other contraindication, and presence of, because there is risk of abortion and other side effects of the radiotherapy on pregnancy. Then presence of fibroids in the uterus, also there is less radiosensitivity and difficult to insert the uterine tandem if there is uterine fibroid, especially in case of submucous fibroid or intramural fibroid. Then there is difficulty of the insertion of the uterine tandems in case of intracavitary brachytherapy. So this is usually not, radiotherapy is not given in the presence of the fibroid or tubo-ovarian mass. As we have already discussed, there is chance of development of tubo-ovarian mass as a side effect of radiotherapy. So if there is a tubo-ovarian mass present and radiotherapy is given, then there is again more development of tuber mass is there. That is why it is also contraindicated. Then uterovaginal prolapse, presence of and presence of the entire fistula. Uterovaginal prolapse, especially in case of 3rd degree and 4th degree, then it is very difficult to insert the radioactive isotopes as the cervix is outside. So it is contraindicated in case of uterovaginal prolapse and also presence of genital fistulae, because there is the worsening of the fistula occurs if radiotherapy is given. That is why it is contraindicated. Uterovaginal prolapse and presence of genital fistula. And also sepsis, another cause also contraindicated. Sepsis, that should be corrected. Sepsis. Then what is radio-resistant tumor? Certain chemotherapeutic agents such as cisplatin, carbapenem, 5-FU, Taxol, interferon are radiosensitizers and potentiate the radiation effect on the hypoxic cells. As you know, hypoxic cells are less radiosensitive. So there are hypoxic cell sensitizers are there to sensitize the hypoxic cells so that the sensitivity of the radiation is increased. And also these agents also potentiate the radiation effect. These drugs can be used concomitantly or along with the radiotherapy to improve the results of radiotherapy. That is known as chemoradiation. Usually, the drugs are used along with the radiation to improve the effects of radiotherapy. So it is known as concomitant radiotherapy or chemotherapy. That is known as chemotherapy, radiation, radiotherapy are given at a time. That is known as chemoradiation, which increases the survival rate and the more success rate. So radio sensitivity. So radio sensitivity is the response of the tumor to the ionizing radiation. What is the response of the tumor to the ionizing radiation, which is usually measured by the what is the capacity of the proliferating cells of the tumor. So radiosensitivity is measured as a response of the tumor and by the what is the capacity of the proliferating cells of the tumor. So it may be highly sensitive or moderately sensitive or poorly sensitive. So highly sensitive tumors are dysgerminoma, embryonal cancer, small cell cancer, lymphoma, and also granulosa cell tumor of ovary. Then moderately sensitive squamous cell cancer and adenocarcinoma. These are the moderately sensitive tumors, radiosensitivity. Then poorly radiosensitive tumors are melanoma and glioma. So highly radiosensitive tumors are mainly dysgerminoma and granulosa cell tumor, embryonal cancer, small cell cancer, and lymphoma. So the choice of radiation therapy is fast in compared to the surgery in case of highly sensitive tumors. It is told that in highly selective tumors, it melts like anything. So it is curable, complete cure. So what are the factors of radiosensitivity? First is, what is the tissue hypoxia? As you know, oxygen is required for the increased sensitivity of the radiation therapy because the hydroxyl ion with oxygen converts H2O2 hydrogen peroxide, which is also toxic to the tumor cells. apart from the hydroxyl ions. Then H2O2, due to formation of H2O2, it is also toxic with the addition of oxygen with hydroxyl ion. So oxygen is important. The oxygenated cells are more sensitive for the radiation therapy. But when there is hypoxia is there, so this is less sensitive to the radiotherapy. Then proportion of mitotic cells. As you know, if there is increased mitotic cells or clonogenic cells, then radiotherapy is more sensitive because it affects the mitotic cells or in the cells in the mitotic phase or phase of mitosis. So when there is more number of proportion of mitotic cells, then it is more sensitive. Then again, according to cell cycle, mitotic cells in M phase or phase of mitosis and G2 cell are more sensitive. Then tumor specificity we have discussed, D-germinoma is mostly sensitive. And again, another factor is tumor volume. When there is smaller volume, more sensitive. More volume, less sensitive. Because there is again due to presence of the hypoxic cells. In smaller volume tumors, there is less hypoxic cells. So more radiosensitivity. In larger volume tumors, there are more hypoxic cells, so less sensitivity of the radiation therapy. So tumor volume is also important for the treatment of radiation therapy. Then what are the radiopotentiators and hypoxic cell sensitizers? So these are the drugs or agents that potentiate the sensitivity of the radiation and also sensitizes the hypoxic cells so that radio sensitivity is increased. So chemotherapeutic agents like cisplatin, which is commonly used as radiopotentiator and hypoxic cell sensitizer, and is usually cisplatin is commonly used. The other agents are paclitaxel, gemcitabine, doxorubicin, then adriamycin also used, hydroxyurea also used, and metronidazole, tumor necrosis factor, interferon, and isaclavir. So interferon is also used as hypoxic cell sensitizer, and another drug is misonidazole, that is also hypoxic cell sensitizer. So that there is hypoxic cell sensitization occurs, so there is increased radio sensitivity. So these are usually given along with the radiation therapy, or that is known as chemoradiation. Then this table shows tissue tolerance of radiation dose. So it should be also taken into account while giving the radiation therapy, because the normal tissues should be prevented for affection so that there will be less side effects. So this is the tissue tolerance of radiation dose normally. That is, cervix usually tolerate about 120 gray, and next is vaginal mucosa about 70 to 75 gray, and inner bladder 60 to 70, rectum almost 60 to 70 or 50 to 60 gray, and small bowel 45 to 50, and liver 25 to 35 gray, and kidney 20 to 23, and ovary in young women, and that is less than 40 years, 4 gray, usually sterilize 30% of tumor cells, and normal and more than 40 years, it is 100%. So this is the tissue tolerance of the radiation dose should be taken in account, and accordingly, the placement of the beam is given in external, usually in case of external, and also in the brachytherapy also, this the tissues surrounding the tumor should be taken into consideration so that the normal tissues should be least affected or spared so that there will be less side effects. That is another principle of taking account of the normal tissue tolerance while giving the radiation therapy. Then what are the neurotechniques? Sparing adjacent tissues. The main aim is to spare the adjacent tissues, normal tissues, so that there will be less side effects. And so there should be normal tissue sparing with optimal target tissue radiation. With normal tissue sparing, there should be optimal target tissue radiation. The target or tumor should be optimally irradiated. At the same time, there should be sparing of the normal tissues. So it is the main aim of the neurotechniques have developed to spare the normal tissues with optimal target tissue radiation or optimal radiation to the tumor tissue. The different methods are there. That is, one is 3D conformal radiotherapy, 3D CRT. And here also, this is normal tissue is spared with the optimal target, maximum target to the tumor tissue. And rapid arc is better than the 3D. Then another method is also there in case of intensity modulated radiation therapy is being used. 3D conformal radiotherapy uses CT, MRI, PET scan to place the beam of radiation to confirm only to the target area, to confirm the beam to be placed on the target area or on the tumor tissue to maximize dose to the tumor and minimize dose to the normal tissues. So these are the 3D conformal radiotherapy. And in case of intensity modulated radiation therapy, the computer is also used, and computed dosimetry is used to exact proper dose to be given to the tumor. And these are the methods: 3D conformal radiotherapy and intensity modulated radiation therapy are new techniques to spare the normal tissues and to optimize the target tumor tissue. Then another is tomotherapy, and cone beam CT also allows precise localization of beam to the target tissue. Again, this is to the beam to be precisely targeted to the tumor tissue. Tomotherapy and cone beam CT also allows the exact localization of the beam to the target tissue. So tomotherapy means specific slice. So tomotherapy or cone beam CT, that also allows precise localization of beam to the target tissue. So tomo means slice. So tissue, the beam is placed precisely on one slice, specifically to the one slice of the tumor tissue, so that maximum optimal target tissue is irradiated. It is also to give the optimum irradiation to the tumor tissue and sparing the normal tissues.
After class finish, we need to take
Then stereotactic radiotherapy and gamma knife radiation, another improved techniques, and it is also similar to the intensity modulated radiotherapy and 3D conformal radiotherapy, radiation therapy, and it also allows precise high dose delivery of external radiation, high dose delivery to the external radiation. And stereotactic radiotherapy uses a modification of linear accelerator. It is a modification of linear accelerator, and it also arises the precise high dose delivery and is a type of external radiotherapy. And usually it is completed within 1 day, usually, and more biological effect is there in this method. Then clinical applications of radiotherapy. The most commonly, the cancer cervix, it treated primarily, and in case of cancer cervix, primary radiation therapy for cancer of cervix combines teletherapy with brachytherapy. And radiation, like surgery, is a local therapy. Radiation is also effective like surgery in cancer cervix. It influences only the tumor cells falling within the radiation volume. Then intracavitary radiation by itself may therefore not be curative for patients in whom the tumor spread involves tissues beyond the effective radiation range and those with the distant metastasis. So intracavitary radiation is not only sufficient for the treatment, it should be, again, teletherapy should be given to irradiate the parametrium and pelvic wall, lateral pelvic wall or distant metastasis. The intracavitary radiation is not sufficient. So intracavitary, so brachytherapy plus teletherapy is combined. Then additional external supplementary radiation to the pelvis is required to treat the pelvic lymph nodes. So when there is intracavitary brachytherapy first given, then additional external supplementary radiation to the pelvis is required to treat the pelvic lymph nodes. Then tolerance of the normal tissues within the pelvis acts as the limiting factor in planning radiation therapy. So tolerance of the normal tissues should be taken into account. We have already discussed. So tolerance dose of irradiation for the urinary bladder is about 6,000 centigrade, and for rectum it is about 5,000 centigrade. Doses in excess can damage these hollow viscera and cause radiation fistula. Either may be VPF or RVF. Then intracavitary radiation source is so calculated that it does not deliver a dose in excess of 8,000 centigrade to the point A located 2 centimeter above and lateral to the external os. So there are 2 points, point A and point B. Point A is located 2 centimeter above cephalic or superior and lateral to the external cervical os, external os. Point A denotes the point of crossing of the uterine artery and the ureter. And then point B is located 5 centimeter laterally on the pelvic side walls where the obturator gland is located, or point B is located 3 centimeter away from the lateral to the point A at the same level. So point B, that is the obturator gland is located. So radiation dose at point B should not exceed 4,500 centigrade to safeguard the bladder and rectum from over irradiation. Preoperative brachytherapy is used in barrel-shaped endocervical growth. If there is barrel-shaped endocervical growth, where there is spread is more common, In that case, preoperative brachytherapy is given first in case of barrel separated endocervical growth of more than 2 centimeter, then followed by within a week or 4 weeks later by Wardem's radical hysterectomy with the treatment of choice in case of early cancer cervix. And cisplatin prior to or during brachytherapy improves the response rate as chemo radiopotentiator and radiosensitizer. Cisplatin acts as a radiosensitizer and is employed as a neoadjuvant or concomitant chemoradiation. Cisplatin is given in a dose of 40 mg per meter square IV within 1 hour prior to radiotherapy weekly, improves the response response rate of the radiation. Other radiosensitizers are 5-HT2, gemcitabine, and Taxol and carboplatin. Then post-operative external radiotherapy is required when the surgery has been incomplete or lymph node proves positive for malignance. Suppose in case of usually up to stage 2A surgery, Wardem's hysterectomy done, radical hysterectomy is done, but if there is incompleteness or lymph node proves to be positive, then post-operative external radiotherapy should be given. Then primary radiotherapy is mainly applied in advanced cancer of the cervix, but also preferred in stage 1 and 2A by some gynecologists, alternative to the Wardem's hysterectomy. So in all stages of the cancer cervix, radiotherapy can be given, but up to stage 2A surgery or radiotherapy surgery is ideal. Wardem's system, but in both cases, up to stage 2A, in comparison to surgery, radiotherapy is also with the same survival rate or cure rate. So cure rate achieved in early stages are comparable by either method. So radiotherapy causes vaginal stenosis leading to dyspareunia, ovarian destruction with menopause symptoms, and osteoporosis and cervical stenosis with pyometra, and the choice of treatment in a young woman is Wardem's radical hysterectomy. So in few cases, radiotherapy fails to irradiate the pelvic nodes completely and recurrence occurs. Surgery is preferable to repeat radiotherapy. In those cases, surgery is preferable. Then in primary radiotherapy, normally brachytherapy is applied first, followed by the external teletherapy. But in case of when the growth is large, first teletherapy is given to shrink the tumor, followed by the brachytherapy. Then endocervical cancer, here in endocervical cancer, the best survival is seen when the concomitant cisplatin given weekly and weekly pelvic radiotherapy for 6 weeks, then followed by surgery. Then post-operative radiotherapy is required if pelvic node are positive. Then these are whether it can be given, radiotherapy can be given preoperatively or postoperatively, and what are the advantages of preoperative radiation? Surgically undisturbed tumor bed, intact vascularity, and it may facilitate surgical dissection, allowing a lesser procedure by shrinking the tumor, and it may decrease the likelihood of risk of implantation or dissemination of the viable tumor cells during surgical handling of the tissues. Then disadvantages are it precludes accurate pre-treatment staging of the disease and may be considered unnecessary on hindsight in cases with a high chance of cure with surgery alone, interferes with the tissue healing. Then post-operative radiation are the advantages: accurate surgical staging, extent of loco-regional disease accurately, and choice of omitting or selective use of radiation in some patients, and surgery may alter the kinetics of tumor proliferation. These are disadvantages, and surgery often disturbs tumor vascularity causing hypoxia. Then endometrial cancer as an adjunct to surgery, usually the treatment of choice of total abdominal hysterectomy with bilateral salpingopertomy. So radiotherapy is given an adjunct to surgery, and by administering vaginal irradiation via colpostat, vaginal vault recurrence drops to 2% from the previous 13%. So survival improves in stages 1C and 2 when post-operative radiotherapy is administered to sterilize the pelvic lymph nodes. Radiation is indicated in uterine sarcoma also, though the outcome is poor. So to treat patients who are unfit for surgery and to treat patients with vaginal or pelvic recurrences or palliation therapy also in case of non-resectable intrapelvic or metastatic disease. Then ovarian cancer, usually the treatment of choice is total abdominal hysterectomy with bilateral salpingopertomy and infracolic omenectomy, the primary treatment. But in inoperable cases, maximal debulking surgery is followed by chemotherapy in epithelial tumors and most of the other malignant ovarian tumors. But in some cases also, moving strip technique of external radiotherapy is given for para-aortic lymph node positive and abdominal metastasis. So this is moving strip technique where a strip of 2.5 centimeter area is irradiated front and back over 2 days and the strip moved upwards until the entire abdomen receives radiation. With the liver and kidneys shielded, the total tumor dose of 2600 centigrade is admitted. So usually, next is vulval cancer. It is also, in some cases, it is given and the dose of radiation usually is 4500 to 5000 centigrade in women with microscopic disease and 6000 to 6400 centigrade to women with macroscopic disease. Then vagina also, the radiotherapy is of vaginal cancer of the vagina. The radiotherapy is often chosen in place of radical surgery, especially in children. Though in adults, the surgery is the treatment of choice. And if the tumor is located in the upper 1/3 of vagina, radiotherapy is similar to that of the cervix. And if located in the lower 1/3, interstitial needles are placed in the vaginal tissue. Then choriocarcinoma responds extremely well to the chemotherapy, which has replaced surgery and radiotherapy in young women. But radiotherapy is applicable in case of distant metastasis like brain and liver metastasis. Thank you. Any doubt? You can ask. Doubt. Single doubt. Stop. Okay. No doubt. Okay, thank you.